We are back on Taking Care of Business on Kern Radio Newstalk 1180. Our in-studio guests are Michael Bowers and Ted Fowler talking about the Redistricting Commission. Gentlemen, I just want to give you my thoughts on it. And I don't have any problem with any particular group. I don't care what the group is, union, Hispanic, African American. I don't care what group. You know, I just want to see fair representation, and I'll probably catch a little slack for this, but I was a little disappointed in our side meaning the right side as opposed to the left side of the equation. There weren't a lot of people there from the right. I know they had a meeting in Lancaster, Ted. I know you and I talked to some people that were there. A lot of Tea Party people were there in Lancaster, but in Bakersfield, they were obvious by their absence because they just weren't there. And there had to be at least 20, 25 people from the other side there that spoke. So, shame on all of us because we weren't there. We should have been there and we weren't. So we dropped the ball. And I think, and Michael, you can comment on this, I think sometimes people on our side tend to react as opposed to act. And, there's a time to act prior to having to react to events that occur. Michael?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a time to be proactive instead of reactive. And just this, one of these, Mike Davis is an assemblyman for the 80th District. He proposed Assembly Bill AB 420. And a lot of people may say, well, what is AB 420? Well, essentially, he believes that with the Redistricting Committee and the Redistricting Commission, that they should allow prisoners to be counted. And he goes on citing it's because of African Americans and Latinos. They are disproportionately unrepresented, about 43%. And but he believes that prisoners should be counted in redistricting. And so these are some of the idiotic thoughts that people are, proposing, and these are the people that we voted in. And, going back to what Marty was saying, essentially, it would have been great to see people that were from the right there, but it would have been good to see Tea Party people out saying that this is wrong, people out questioning the process, people out raising concerns, because we in California, especially here in Kern County, I believe that we are going to see some things change significantly. And if we don't step up to the plate and we don't make our voice heard, and if we don't take that initial approach, it's going to be too late, because by the time the Supreme Court gets it in California, you get wrapped up in this legal matter, it's going to be too late. So we have to step up. We've got to start asking the questions. We've got to start getting involved. We've got to show up, and we've got to ask questions of those commissioners.
Sure. And I don't know how much of a difference we could have made had we been there, but just the fact that we were there, being a part of the process, I think makes all the difference in the world. Clay?
Well, I was going to say that the union people that were there were basically talking about Arbin and Buttonwillow and the outlining communities. And those communities are all district in with Stockton. Mm-hmm. Now, what benefit is it to have them in with Stockton as an example, when what we ought to do is set up boundaries based on mountains, on rivers, on roads. In essence, keep the whole community together.
Isn't that what the law says?
That's what it's supposed to say, but when you look at the districts today, they're all spread all over the place to get people elected. Okay,
but the whole idea, Clay, is to eliminate that and to make it according to boundaries of, geographical boundaries and, and similar likes and things. Ted, one thing you did that I was impressed with, you came there, like you said, as every man. You just represented everybody. And there should have been more people like you doing that. You said I represent hundreds of thousands of people that aren't here, that don't belong to any particular special group.
Yeah, I introduced myself as the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the other guy has got to start standing up and making his voice known, or they're going to get hijacked, just like the system is being hijacked right now by the special interest groups.
Mm-hmm. I've got to tell you, I sat there and, occasionally this happens when you're at something and you kind of feel like, you not that you're being taken advantage of, but you feel like it's a setup. And I hate to admit this, but it felt like a setup.
Felt like it to me.
Okay.
It felt a great deal like it. I mean,
Michael, you too?
The feeling I got from the commissioners was that their mind was made up. They were going to do what they were going to do, and nothing I said was going to make any difference. But we can. If enough of us stand up and
Yes.
make noise, we can change it.
Now, I want to slip something in there before Michael makes a comment. And I on Facebook, Ted, I looked at the California Districting Commission Facebook page. When I signed up, the only other person that was on it that I know was you. But you can get involved. Look online at WeDrawTheLines.ca.gov. Just look under We Draw the Lines. And there is a spot there for public comments. So this may be a stacked deck. I don't know. I'm not judging the 14 people involved. But we need to make comments. It's our right to make comments, and it's our responsibility.
Yeah, I'd like to note one thing, too. They did mention, or they did state, that what they want people to actually draw out maps. Now, you're not, the average guy's not going to be able to sit down and draw out those maps because the criteria that they've set forth is kind of hard to follow. It's going to take organizations. So you're going to have to get involved with your Tea Party or with some other group in order to get together to actually draw out suggested maps and send it to this commission in order to get the job done.
Sure. The idea is to make it fair for everybody.
Right
Regardless.
now, there is no Tea Party involved. It's just the Republicans, the Democrats, and the declined estates.
Well, the Tea Party's not involved, but that's my point. Is somebody's going to have to form some kind of organization to get these maps drawn, or at least suggested maps drawn, that somewhat meet the criteria of the commission. Otherwise, they're just going to write it off as we can't do anything about it because it doesn't meet the criteria.
Sure, but in all fairness, the Tea Party in Tehachapi was involved in Lancaster. They busted a bunch of people, went down there, and
yes, that's
and
true.
were involved. Yeah,
that's correct.
Yeah, Michael.
They bust a bunch of people.
Okay. They took a bunch of people down
Okay, it sounded more like
Sounded like a
Obama
union
meeting.
event.
One thing that we can be assured that's what's going to happen if we don't get involved. The Kern County politics, as what we know it, is going to change significantly. The landscape is going to look different. The trying to bring in the bullet train, and you're going to have people coming here and coming from Los Angeles and the Bay Area. Kern County politics is going to change, people. You have to get involved.
Yeah, definitely. We're having a conversation with Michael Bowers and Ted Fowler talking about redistricting on Taking Care of Business. Kern Radio Newstalk 1180.
Boy, Michael, you bring up a whole other subject, the bullet train. That's an interesting one, too. I wonder how redistricting will affect the bullet train.
Well, I believe that redistricting is all it's going to essentially bring is people from the Bay Area, people, especially Los Angeles. You get to Los Angeles from Kern County in, 18 minutes? So it's going to change that in a sense. It's going to bring more people who are going to run for political offices here.
Well, you see, in Kern County, we're, 51% Hispanic now?
Yep.
So are they getting their fair representation based on the current demographics, not demographics, but the current districting?
Well, when you really look at it, compared to Hispanics and African Americans when it comes to them voting, African Americans turn out. Hispanics really don't come out to the polls and vote. It's a known statistic. It's a known fact. They really don't come out, and those that do come out, they're legal citizens. And the ones that are not coming out, and we look at this 41% increase in Kern County, and a lot of that happens to be illegal immigration. So we have to look at that and take that in consideration.
Well, the most organized group that I saw at the redistricting meeting was the Hispanic group. Yeah. They came prepared.
Yeah, they came prepared, and they weren't speaking English.
They brought their own interpreter, which I thought was very interesting. As I heard a comment from one of the board members, they've got their own interpreter.
How can you want to change the election process, and you want it to benefit you, and you don't even speak the language, you don't even speak English, and you're demanding something to the commission, and you don't even speak English.
Well, we have the same problem in the schools, but that's again another subject. We could keep moving on this, Michael, in lots of different directions.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of my questions that I would have asked the commissioners had I had the opportunity was, I would have asked the interpreter what organization he represented. I thought that would be a fair question. Ted?
Well, from what I got, the interpreter was provided by a Hispanic organization, a public or a Spanish-speaking organization in Bakersfield.
Okay, a union organization or?
Dolores Hurt, whatever her name is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, I'm not throwing any disparaging remarks at any organization like that. I'm just saying, hey, they did their homework. They did the job right.
Well,
they did what we are supposed to do, and we didn't.
But again,
exactly.
I don't understand what they're really asking for. They want to keep the status quo. They complained about parks. They complained about schools. They complained about sidewalks, and they want to keep everything the same. That's confusing.
Yeah. Mike, did you have a comment you were?
It goes back to when the Hispanics were out, and not to race bait here, but it goes out to when they were out marching and they were walking off on jobs with that issue several years back, and they didn't know what they were marching for. They didn't know what they were walking for. So I really believe that those people were set up. And, the commissioner director, the person in charge, there was a conversation, an exchange that went back in Spanish. And one particular commissioner had to interrupt it and say specifically, hey, can you, whatever you say in Spanish, can you translate it in English so we can understand what you're saying? So you see that, and it just makes you wonder, what are we getting ourselves into? If we don't get out, Kern County politics is not going to be the same as what we typically see it is.
Mm-hmm. Let's pick up with that when we get back. We're talking to Michael Bowers and Ted Fowler on the best of Saturday Talk Radio on Kern Radio Newstalk 1180.